guys, so I'm here with Charlie. He is a 9-year-old quarter horse gelding. We're gonna kind of look at a couple problems today. I'm not sure how naughty he will be, but my guess is kind of naughty. Problem number one is bolting. A horse that decides that they no longer want to be in your space with you. They want to take off and leave and be somewhere else. So a horse that wants to bolt is super rigid in the hind end. So whenever they move or you ask them to stop or something, they don't move. They move their back feet together or step behind instead of turning to face and look at you by stepping under. So a horse that is getting ready to leave is always going to be like stepping together in a hurry like this or behind. They're not going to like relax and actually disengage correctly and step under their belly and look at you. So Charlie's been out to pasture for a couple months and hasn't really been messed with, and so we'll see what he does. So to teach a horse to not bolt, you're actually going to start from the stop, and you're going to just bend their nose, pick direction, but you're going to want to do this both directions. And you're going to bend their nose and drive the hip away from you. And what you're looking for is for this inside foot to step underneath their belly as they turn away. And I'm going to release pressure as soon as he does that. So it doesn't matter if he steps under and then he kind of catches his balance and steps together. What matters is when I release the pressure. So if I release the pressure when he steps under, that's what he's going to take a mental picture of when that was the right answer. So so you're going to start from here before winding your horse up and actually getting a bolt. You're going to start before that ever happens. So I would just bend his head and ask him to step under. Now I'm not releasing just so you can see what his feet are doing. But that's what you're going to be looking for, is a horse that will bend and step under. Now they might step together, and then step under, release as soon as they step under, and then build from there. And you're going to want to do that both sides. So we'll check this side and make sure I can bend his head and ask him to step under. Once they step under like that from the stop, you're going to ask them to walk and step under from the walk. So if I just ask him to walk and go in a circle around me, when I want him to stop, I'm going to pull his nose, so my lead hand is going to come down towards his face. I want him to keep going for a minute. I want him just to walk, so. Good boy. Okay, so my lead hand, if I have a circle like this, my lead hand being the one towards his head, is going to come down here. I'm going to pull his nose and drive his hip away. The first kind of step he took was under, and then he kind of caught his balance and stepped together. So we'll do that again. So I'm going to send him. Let him go around for a minute. He's thinking of rolling. So I'm going to shorten this up. I'm going to pull his nose to my belly and send his hip away at the same time. And then see him licking and chewing. So he's taking a minute and he's winding down a little bit instead of thinking of being all squirrely. Now, if I ask him to go in a hurry, he'll probably throw his head. He might buck and get a little bit wound up. So if he does, I'm going to ask him, and I'm going to try and push his buttons to see if he'll be bad, so I can show you like what to do and stop him so that he actually steps under. So we'll see what he does. It might get a little hairy. You might want to back. Good boy. So I'm going to stop him. And I didn't like how he stops, so I'm going to ask him to go. And I'm going to try and like wind him up here. Alright, so slide my hand down, pull his nose, drive his hip. And he wasn't as relaxed as I wanted him to be, so I'll ask him to go again. Pull his nose, drive his hip, send, pull his nose, drive his hip. There, that was better, where he actually, that last step he took was under, and then he stopped and looked. And he licked and chewed right away too when he stopped. He goes, oh, okay, like I guess I don't need to wind up. I'm keeping my rope relatively short because with a horse that wants to bolt, the longer your rope, the less leverage you have on them. So if a horse gets a horse that wants to run away, if they have the chance to align their spine, like good luck, you're not going to be able to stop them. So that means, you know, if there's no bend in their body, they can just outpower you 10 to 1. So what I mean by that is if my rope is as long as his body, and now I don't want him to move. So if my rope is as long as his body, he can turn completely away from me and keep going. So I try and keep my rope half the distance of his body so that I have good leverage to pull his head around and actually drive his hip. But if my rope is too long, he can get away and leave that circle before I ever have a chance to pull his nose, if that makes sense. And then by then, you're water skiing behind your horse, and your horse is leaving that way, and you're like hanging on for dear life, right? So, you know, keep yourself safer by teaching this on a shorter rope like that. Also, rope management plays into this a lot. So if you are holding your rope with the rope like this and your thumb is pointed towards their face, if they turn and pull on you really hard, you don't have a very good grip, and that rope is going to slide and tear your hand apart. A better way to hold your rope is actually pinky toward your horse's face, and you make a fist, and then you turn your fist so that when they pull, you have leverage and friction working for you, versus if your hand is like this and they pull, you know, you could try and turn it like this, but I don't have a good grip on that at all. So yeah, so pinky always goes towards your horse's face, make a fist, and then you can rotate it so when they pull, you've got leverage. So another thing is your center of gravity is right here. So if you have a horse that really pulls, close your arm like this, bring your hand in. You don't have very much control when your arm's out here. Bring your hand in and you kind of sit down like this and drop your weight so that you have more leverage until they turn face, step under, and then completely release. Let them know absolutely that was the right answer. Some horses don't pull that hard. They kind of like are testing you, and some people just let go because they don't want to be pulled on. And that just teaches your horse that, hey, it doesn't take much and I can take off. So anyway, that's how you're going to start with a horse that bolts, and you're going to perfect that. So you want to wind them up very slowly. I wouldn't do it as fast as I wound him up today. You want to make sure every time you stop from a walk, they are bent and looking at you nicely, and then gradually pick it up to a trot from there. I'm in a pretty big space. This is 60 by 120 arena. If you have the option to be in a smaller space, like a round pen, I would start there if your horse is really bad, because it gives you more control and them, less opportunity to actually leave. So, yeah, so if you have any questions, let me know, and that is how I would start with fixing a horse that wants to bolt on the ground. Thanks.